After Dark. And today we are discussing A Caribbean Mystery by Agatha Christie. It's part of the Read Christie 2026. Just to catch you up to speed, if you are only just now joining us, Erica had this really great idea that every month we would read one of the suggested Agatha Christie novels, short story collections that have been highlighted through the official Agatha Christie website. So that's what we're doing. And this month, well, the month that just passed, April, we had A Caribbean Mystery. So,
Yeah.
um, there you go. And A Caribbean Mystery is a Miss Marple mystery, just like a super quick summary to
Mhm.
kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about. Um, in A Caribbean Mystery, Miss Marple has been sent by her son by her nephew on vacation. And while she's there, a murder occurs. And then another murder occurs. And then, so, we'll get into it, right?
Mhm.
And it's up to Miss Marple to solve the mystery. And there you go.
Yeah.
So
And
that's,
it takes place obviously in the Caribbean
yeah, yeah,
island of Saint Honoré,
right. That's right.
is where it takes place.
Yeah.
So let me first give a caveat to this discussion
Okay.
because you have said this is your favorite.
Well, okay. So it's one of a murder is announced
Right.
is like, you can't really beat a murder is announced. I think like that's kind of I don't know. I almost feel like I need to reread them all. I don't know.
Well, when I read these, I immediately look at what adaptations have been done and what
Right.
audiobooks are
Right.
available. So
Right.
there were two audiobook versions, one of which was read by Joan Hickson, who also plays Miss
Right.
Marple on some BBC TV episodes. And I forget who was the person who was reading the other version. Um, and I will say that this was the hardest read I've been able to do. And
Really?
I did not think I was going to finish reading
Oh
it.
my gosh, really?
I did not watch any of the adaptations.
Okay. Hey, that's okay.
And what ended up happening was this past week,
Uh-huh.
I hadn't touched the book or the audiobook for almost a week. And
Mhm.
finally I was like, okay, it's getting close to it. Let me open the audiobook, let me listen and finish it. I had like maybe 7 chapters left.
Right.
And it had been so long since I went in the Libby app that I
Right.
didn't realize both of the audiobook versions I had expired,
Right.
and I
That
couldn't get
actually
them
happened to me.
back. I couldn't
Right.
loan them back
Yeah.
again. I would
Yeah.
have had to wait an additional 2 weeks. So I was like, not only was it difficult for me to
Mhm.
stay awake to
Mhm.
listen to the book being read to me, but at least I was reading it that way.
Right.
Now I had to suffer through reading it myself.
Aw.
Which it was grueling, but literally, Wednesday night, I finished it. My
Okay.
wife was watching Survivor, and I was surviving reading the last few chapters of this book. So, you
Hey, that's
know
okay. That's okay.
but
Yeah.
I will say, of all of the Agatha Christie novels that I have read,
Mhm.
this is the second Miss Marple novel of hers that I have read,
Okay.
behind the one that we read in January,
Right.
The Body in the Library. So,
Okay.
coming as someone who has not read
Mm.
any Miss Marple to now
Right.
this being the second one,
Right.
if I'm basing this one on Body in the Library, I think that one was much more interesting, nuanced, kept me engaged.
Okay.
Um, Whereas this one was the complete and total opposite of that. But let's get into the
Yeah, let's
story.
get into it. Yeah. Well,
So,
it's almost better. It's almost better that you are coming from it from that angle, because
yeah,
otherwise this could be a very boring conversation, right?
right.
I mean, I want
Um,
to know what someone else thinks, and like
right.
also like when I first read this and was wowed by it, just to keep everything in perspective, I was younger than my kids are now, so I was like 16 or 17 or something, and I'd just really gotten into mysteries even more so than Nancy Drew in 4th grade or whatever, right? So I was super impressed at that time, right?
Right.
And now when I read it again, it feels like just like returning to like a comfy sweater or something, right? It's not necessarily the best mystery I've ever read, or it's not like that for me. It's more like, oh, this kind of takes me back to this one period of my life. And this is like a sweet thing to be able to return to when you're reading a book that you like loved and enjoyed the first time around, right? Or maybe even a book that has influenced you in some way in your writing in some way. And um, I'm kind of coming at it from that angle. So yeah, so I hear you. I hear you. I here's what's funny about what you're saying. So, is everyone on this call knows I have long COVID. So I have a very short attention span, and I have an even shorter amount of time where I have memory retention, right? Which thankfully I'm like fixing that, right? So like if we talk about something and I can't remember it, then give me less than 10 minutes and it'll suddenly come to me. I have that kind of problem. Anyway, but see already I'm like, wait, what was I saying? Um so because of that, whenever I'm reading one of our books for the month, I'm reading along with the text, and then I'm also doing an audiobook to kind of like put it in there, like solidly put it in my mind, right? And then watching the adaptations, which some I can get through and some I can't, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I listened to the Joan Hickson version of the book, which was good. But at different points in times, I did have to put the book down and just switch to only audio because I don't know. I don't even really know why. I don't know if it was just because of me and my attention span, or if like during certain parts in the middle, it kind of started to like drag or something. And I wouldn't even think this. I would think it was only me, except you're saying this. So now I'm like, okay, well maybe it does do that. So I'm interested to see
Well,
what our readers think.
right. Well, one of the things thinking comparing this book to Body in the Library,
Right.
I think the style and the way Miss Marple was used was very different.
Yeah.
Body in the Library, she doesn't enter into the story until almost the middle, if I remember correctly, because there's all the
Right.
things that happen up until her best friend calls her and says,
Hmm.
I'm sending a car for you. There's a
Right.
body in the library. So
Right.
it's kind of written in third person.
Hmm.
Whereas this one, I feel like we're spending 95% of the time in the mind of Miss Marple.
Right.
And no offense to the old lady wisdom and everything,
Right.
it came off very repetitive and a bit annoying, where
Right.
she was always like, "Oh, what did they say? Oh, so and so said something. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, it was what was it? I and it was just like how many different ways can we
Right.
do the same thing, say the same thing, behave the same way?
Right.
This would have worked. It's one of those things where they say, it would have worked better in an email. Like this would have been better as a short story. It didn't
Right. Well,
need
you
to
know what?
be a
I
novel.
kinda do agree with that. I kinda do agree with that, and the reason I'm saying this is because, right now I'm working on an Only Murders in the Inbox edition about love triangles, and there's a short story, Triangle at Rhodes, and I feel like that short story would have been better as a novel, and so reading The Caribbean Mystery, I can definitely see how this would be better as a short story, so I'm with you. I'm in the boat with you there. So,
And
yeah.
as to the audiobooks,
Mhm.
and this goes to not just the audiobooks, but to the text itself, because this
Mhm.
was the first book where I almost wanted to look and see if this was an abridged or an unabridged version. And I
Oh,
don't know if you caught a lot of
yeah.
it because it's a Caribbean mystery, so
Right.
there are Black people,
Right. Oh gosh,
people of
yeah.
color,
We
and
we
so
gotta get to
there
that
are
part.
so the text
Mhm.
says one particular word, and
Yes.
then
Yes.
the audiobook
Mhm.
person will either Joan Hickson will just not even say the word, whatever it is.
Right.
However Agatha Christie chose to describe
Yeah.
physically, however you want to say
Yeah.
it, the islanders
Right.
in
Right.
the book.
Yeah.
It's in both versions of the audiobook, which is why I kept going back and forth re-listening to chapters, especially in the
Mhm.
early part, because I
Mhm.
was like, "Wait, the book is saying this, but Joan just glossed over all of those words and resaid
Mhm.
it herself. Let me see
Mhm.
what they did in the other version. And
Right.
in that one, they'll use a less issued word
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
describe and do all the
Yeah.
and that actually bothered me. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're
No, it
reading
bothered
the
me too.
audiobook. I
Yeah.
understand that
I
you
actually
might
bookmarked it to
feel
tell you.
like
Yeah.
it's a bit much, like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to describe this person of color as,
Right.
stereotypical in any way,
Mhm.
but that's what Agatha Christie wrote, so that's what you should read.
Mhm.
And so and one thing, I don't know if you listened to the other audiobook,
No,
the
I didn't
2
listen.
stark differences is
Mhm.
Joan Hickson is just reading it.
Okay. Yeah.
She's not
Yeah, that's
putting
the
on
one I
any accents.
yeah, that's the
She's
one I listened.
not doing anything.
Right.
She's just
Right.
reading it.
Right.
Then you have the other audiobook. And I
Mhm.
don't know if this woman is white, black. I don't know what her race or anything is,
Right.
but she was putting on some accents for the
Oh,
characters.
no.
Which I didn't hate.
No.
I actually preferred that because
You
I could
did?
differentiate who because I could
Okay.
differentiate who was talking. When
Okay.
it was
Okay.
Joan Hickson, if I didn't have the book in front of
Uh-huh.
me and I
Right.
was just listening, I'd be like, "Wait, is that Major Palgrave saying those
Oh, gotcha.
lines or is you know
I
what I
got
mean? Because she's just
yeah.
reading it without doing any
Yeah.
inflections, anything
Yeah.
for me to understand who the hell is in the scene. But at
Right.
least with this other woman, as crazy and far-fetched as some of the accents were that she was putting on for each person, at least I knew it was 3 different people in this scene because she was doing 3 different voices to her
Gotcha.
credit. But it was just really interesting how there was that stark difference in the audiobooks of both of them. Um, but so getting to the specifics of the mystery, while Miss Marple is at this resort is it's like a resort that's owned by these two people, Molly and Tim Kendall. And
Yeah.
the story that I will guarantee you of the 12 months that we do, the one that I'm going to tell you right now I dislike the most is the
Mhm.
one I'm going to have the most information on because I don't even have
Right.
to look. I don't even have
Right.
to look,
Right.
and the
That's always the
names
way it is, right?
and all the
Yeah.
things are fresh in my mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't even have to look it up.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Hey, so I'm gonna do the
right,
this is my symbol in case you guys wanna, like, bail on this conversation if you haven't finished the book.
yeah,
For anyone listening to this as a podcast, I'm doing basically what Mariner would do in Lower Decks, when she would give the Spock signal, like, sideways, like, "Later." Okay. But it's scissors
yeah.
for cut here. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So So, she's at this resort that's currently owned by fairly new owners, Tim and Molly Kendall, who buy
Right.
this hotel, and
Right.
they have people who come at a certain time of year that are regulars. So there are the Dysons, there's Raphael, who's like you could say like a billionaire, millionaire, rich person who's like this close to death. The Hillingdons, there's
Right.
a woman with a very deep accent who has men fawning all over her. I don't really get her
Yeah.
purpose. And then there's a priest with his sister,
Mhm.
and there's the local doctor. So I think I
Mhm.
covered everyone. Oh, and then the main person I forgot, Major Palgrave is
Right. Right.
like the main person. So Major Palgrave is this old guy who's been in all the wars, done all the safaris, done all the things, and so he's packed with stories, and
Mhm.
he goes around everywhere as loud as he can, telling stories of his life and the different people he's met and the animals he's killed and all of
Right.
these crazy stories,
Right.
and after a while everyone on the island kind of hears him, but they don't hear him, especially Miss
Right.
Marple, who
Right.
can go on for 10 pages about how you know what it's like when someone is near you and they're just talking while you're
Right.
knitting. And so
Right.
you hear the beginning, but then you slowly
Right.
stop hearing them and you're
Right.
focusing on this. And then they say a word or something and it snaps you back and they
Mhm.
ask you a question like, and what do you think? And so your natural response should be, oh, I'm not worldly enough to
Yep.
have an opinion on such
Right.
matters because she really has no effing clue what the hell he was just
Right.
saying
What
to her, but he
he was
just asked
talking
her a
about, that's
question,
right. Yeah, that's
right?
right.
But so he goes around telling all these stories. So on one occasion, he tells her a story, which is a story nested in a story nested in a story, right?
Right.
It's he's talking to a friend. Let me see if I can retell the story that he
Okay.
tells.
Okay.
So he says to her, "Have you ever met a
Mhm.
murderer before?"
Right.
"I have." Which technically he hasn't, but let's
Right.
let's
Right.
pretend cuz
Technically, he has not.
technically he hasn't.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So this obviously piques her interest because she's bored here knitting, doing nothing on this island, and she's actually lamenting the fact that she wishes there would be some interesting people like back at, St. Mary Mead, who've got murderers and philanderers and all these things that she could
Mhm.
think about back home. So
Right.
he says, "Have you ever met a murderer?" So now she's interested and she's wondering what the hell was he talking about before that even led him down the path to say,
Right.
"Have you ever met a
Have
murderer?"
you
Like
met
she's
a murderer?
she's
Right.
racking her brain like, "God, how did he get here? What did I miss?"
Right. Right. Because she was
So
knitting.
right, she
She
wasn't
was
paying
knitting and
attention.
observing everybody else. Right.
No one was paying attention.
No one was paying attention.
And so he says, "A friend of mine was
Mhm.
telling me
Mhm.
about a conversation he had with a friend, with another I think it was a doctor, with a doctor friend who was saying how he had a patient." Okay, so
Mhm.
we're
Right.
like 3 sheets removed here on this story.
Right. Already.
Okay,
Already.
already.
That's right.
So these 2 doctors are having a conversation about the fact that they each have a case where a woman was killed, but there are similarities in how the woman was killed, and they're wondering if the husband was involved. And they're both looking at each other like, "We're telling kind of the same story. What's the name of your fellow?" And then he says, "Well, what's the name of your fellow?" 2 different names, but then they describe what the man looks like, and they're both like, "Hey, that's the same guy. Maybe he's like this serial killer person who's marrying these women for
Right.
money and then killing them.
Right.
Wow." And
Mhm.
then that's when Major Palgrave drops the bomb and says, "I've got a picture
Right.
of the killer."
Right.
And that's when she's really perked up because he's now opened his wallet, and a man of his kind has a wallet probably this thick with all manner of things in it. So he's
Mhm.
pulling one out. He says, "No, that's not it. That's a tiger from Africa," whatever. He's going through trying to find it, and then he finds it, but
Right.
something happens, and he stops, and all of a sudden he changes the subject about some other such thing, and he's shouting even louder, telling this story, and Miss Marple's looking at him confused.
Right.
He puts the photo back in his wallet, closes it up,
Right. Changes his
changes the subject,
right.
and then he leaves, and she's like, again, and again, this is why I think this story is much different than the other one, because
Right.
we're clearly in first person in her mind, and in
In
her
her mind.
mind,
That's
she's
right.
saying, "Who just arrived
Right.
over my shoulder to make
Mhm.
him stop?"
Right.
And she looks over her shoulder, and I forget who she sees. It's less relevant until you get to the end.
That's right.
And she's like, I don't know. Is it possible the person in the photo is
Mhm.
who he just saw behind me?" And now she's thinking, "Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? It's
Right.
clearly one of these men that now I'm seeing
Right.
behind me. Let me take stock on
Mhm.
who all the
Mhm.
men are on
Mhm.
this island at this resort." One of
Right.
them he recognized spooked him.
Right. Right. So,
S-
so the cool thing, because I watched all 3 television adaptations, in addition to listening to Joan Hickson's audiobook, is that every single one mentioned Lucretia Borgia. And honestly, like I probably looked that up back in high school, but I'm not even going to pretend that I remembered who that is. So I looked her up, right?
Mhm.
She was the daughter of Pope Alexander VI, and she was known as being this black widow, right?
You
Because
know what? Oh my God, is Lucretia the character who Lucy Lawless plays in the TV show Sparta?
I
Is
don't
that her
know.
name, Lucretia? Oh my God, I have to look it up because
Okay,
now that
yeah,
you're saying,
you
anyway,
look
but
that up
go
while
ahead.
okay, you look that up while I explain. Okay, so
Yeah.
Lucretia Borgia, basically, she was married off when she was 12, which is pretty disgusting, but they did it like that, I guess. So she was married off when she was 12 to this guy. It was a political only marriage. Um, it's basically like a girl and her dad, and the dad's like, no, this isn't the right person. No, this isn't the right person. And he was basically, he and Lucretia's brother were using her to gain political power and political standing at that time in, I think it was Italy, right? Italy? Yes, duh, of course, the Pope. Okay, anyway. So then she would marry again, and then something would happen to that guy that she married. Suddenly he was stabbed to death. One of her husbands was stabbed to death repeatedly, left on the street to die, was bleeding out on the street, somehow, miraculously survives that stabbing, is in the hospital, and then basically someone comes in and strangles him to death. So even though he survived that like horrible, horrible like assault in the street, he ended up dying anyway because Lucretia Borgia's brother and dad were like, no, we need you to marry this other guy instead because you need to be a widow right now because we need you to marry this other guy because that's to the benefit of Italy. That's to the benefit of, you know, our regime. So
Mhm.
anyway, so that's who Lucretia Borgia is. And that name and that comparison of the murder, that makes it into all three television adaptations, the audiobooks, and in the text. So I just thought it's just worth mentioning because
Mhm.
that's the main reference within like the what is going on here,
Mhm.
the scenario.
And
Yeah.
so shortly after this incident with Major Palgrave, um, he ends up dead. Uh, let me just start there. He ends
Right.
up murdered,
Right.
and the belief from the local doctor who comes is because everyone apparently has been saying he has is it a heart problem?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's a heart
Well, high
problem.
blood pressure.
High blood pressure, right.
And maybe
And
he
he was
did or didn't.
drinking, and they said that
Yeah.
he was
Yeah. His
drinking a lot
drinking.
that
That
night, that he
agree.
was just drinking
Right.
excessively,
Mhm.
and according to
Mhm.
everyone, he told them that he had a heart problem and he was taking
Right.
medication to
Right.
everyone except, Miss Marple, who's like, "He never said that to me." And that's when we go back into her old lady business where she's trying to remember who said that he had it, and she's
Right.
basically trying to play the reverse telephone where she's trying to figure out who's said that he said it and who did they hear it from. Did they hear it directly
Yeah.
from him or did they hear it secondhand, and
Yeah.
who did they hear it from? She tries in vain to track back this truth that she's saying is not true, that he was taking this medication, which happened to be beside his bed at the time when they found him um, dead. And there is, I will say, a maid
Mhm.
at the hotel,
Right.
Victoria, who I'm hearing her voice voiced by the other audiobook, a very thick Islander
Mhm.
accent.
Yeah.
And she has like a husband, not really a husband type person that she goes to and says, I need to tell someone something. I have information.
Mhm.
And he's telling her like, mind your business, mind your business. But she goes, I can't remember if she goes to the police first or if she goes to one of the guests first. I think she goes to
Mhm.
one of the guests first because she recognizes the pill bottle as
Mhm.
belonging to one of the guests, and she goes to them, and they think that she's, like, trying to blackmail her
Right.
because or blackmail them because she's like, "So, how did your bottle of pills end up in Major Palgrave's room?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And she says, like, "I saw them in your room, and then they were in his room. That's so
Mhm.
weird." Um, but this entire time, Miss Marple is trying to convince herself that what she believes that he was murdered is not true,
Right.
while simultaneously trying to get information from the doctor, from whoever she can, that to let them know that maybe he wasn't. he didn't die of natural causes, that maybe he was murdered. And one of the things that she starts with is this picture. So
Mhm.
she
Right.
she she puts on this pretense with the
Mhm.
doctor,
Right.
saying that she's feeling her knees are creaking or something like that, so that he could come and give her a medication. But really she wants to kind of lean on him and shed a few tears, that she was showing her one and only photograph that she owns of her nephew. She was
Right.
showing it to him at the time when something or other happened, and so there was a lot of hullabaloo, and rather than give her back the photograph that she was
Mhm.
showing him, he took it and put it in his wallet. And she describes as much as she can, or she thinks she can, of this picture, to say, would you please see, since you're the doctor doing the postmortem and everything, if you have
Mhm.
access to his belongings, can you see if
Right.
it's in his wallet and retrieve this picture of my nephew? It's the only one I have. Unfortunately, the picture's not there,
Right.
obviously,
Right.
which should be clue and signal to her
Yeah, it
that
is.
that
Right.
clearly the killer took it,
Right.
and so clearly he was murdered. But that's not enough. And
Mhm.
then you have all of the different people on the island. So and she's looking at them specifically. She's looking at, there's which is weird, and it's like, I don't know why this was a part of the story, but there are two couples
Right.
that are friends that
Mhm.
vacation there. And it's basically almost like swapping partners,
Yeah.
or at least not really swapping partners, because it's only one husband and one wife from
Yeah.
each couple that are together. The other two could care less.
Right.
And the wife of one of them, like, she knows what's happening and she's fine with it because they haven't been a happy couple anyway. So she's like, yeah, I don't care. Cause And why she doesn't care is significant
Right.
towards the second half of the book, but
Right.
she's not messing around with the husband of the other couple. So it's Lucky and Greg, and
Right.
then it's who are the other two? Edward
Evelyn
and Evelyn. There's
and
always
yeah.
an Evelyn somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Always. Male or female. There's an Evelyn somewhere.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. So,
let me
so
think of
I
the order,
really
because
like
so I think after
yeah.
Major Palgrave gets murdered, the next person who gets murdered is Victoria, I believe, and
Mhm.
it's because she knows too much,
She knows too much.
and they kill Victoria. And at this point, that's when Miss Marple ends up going to the elderly, wealthy man, Raphael, Mr. Raphael,
Mhm.
who is, I don't know how he's portrayed in any of the adaptations, but in the
Mhm.
book, the fact that he's able to move at all is a miracle, because they make it
Really?
sound like
Right.
he can't, like he's just like,
Well, he's in a wheelchair in all
right.
3 stations, yeah.
Although in the book, a lot of the time they're helping him walk from one place to the other, because near the end of the book, the woman, because he has Esther Walters and he has,
Jackson.
Jackson,
Yeah.
are the 2 attendants that he has, and
Right.
near the end of the book, at one point, Esther is walking him to, I forget where, and when he goes off then with Jackson, who's walking him somewhere else, she's, like, massaging her arm, because she said he might look frail, but he really is, like, he's hard to manage and to help
Yeah.
move around, because he must have been leaning on her quite a lot when he was walking. But
Right.
so this old man has these 2 people and apparently no family, right? So
Mhm.
who's he leaving all his money to? And that becomes another kind of part of the story, where he's got all this money and he's made it publicly known that he told Esther that he's not leaving her anything. And he told
Mhm.
the same thing to Jackson. Like,
Mhm.
if you would have, because Miss Marple is trying to figure out, like, who's the man who's
Right.
getting with these rich women, killing them, and everyone has to be a suspect, even him, which he thinks
Mhm.
is ridiculous. He's like, "You need to
Right.
stop being ridiculous." And
Because he wants to be her Watson. Have you
right,
noticed that? Like, and
correct,
and that's how it is in all 3 television adaptations and the story itself. Like,
right.
he's like a cranky, curmudgeonly, like,
Mhm,
disabled guy. I can say that because I'm disabled. A disabled guy in his wheelchair, like, he's so crabby and, but he's rich, so he's used to getting his way, and he complains about her. He complains about Miss
Right.
Marple all the
And he
time.
complains
Yeah.
about women, like, he has a
Yeah,
certain
and
feeling
women.
about
That's right. That's right.
women are not smart or
Yeah, he's
intelligent, but
pretty
there's
tough.
something about that
Yeah.
Miss Marple,
Yeah.
she's got a few beans knocking around her head, so maybe
Right.
she's the which is why he gets very frustrated with her,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
do I, because he's like, "Okay, we have a murder,
Mhm.
we have to find the murderer," but the entire time she's like, "I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I'm not sure."
Yeah.
The entire time, even near the end, where she says to him, "You have to help me prevent a murder."
Yeah.
Even then, she still says, "But I'm not sure, so I don't
Did
know
he?
what to do."
Okay. Yeah.
Because he says, "First of all, I'm in a wheelchair, so I don't know how you expect me to help you stop a murder. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you, an 85-year-old woman, and me, a man who's near death and needs a wheelchair. How are
Yeah.
we supposed to prevent a murder from happening that you
Yeah.
don't even know for sure if it actually is going to happen?" You're still
Yeah.
second guessing yourself the entire time.
Mhm.
Even when she gets to the doctor, convinced that he maybe Major Palgrave was murdered. Like,
Mhm.
there are moments where people are like, okay, maybe this happened. And then
Right.
aside from all that, let's now go back to Molly and Tim Kendall, who are the owners of this resort that they're in way over their head. But you do get the impression that they're madly in love with each other, but there's something not quite right with
Right.
Molly. Tim is kind of like hovering over her
Mhm.
constantly, watching her constantly, won't let her be alone.
Mhm.
Um, and she's having these moments of, like, blackouts and stuff, which she shares with Evelyn Hillingdon. She lets her
Right.
know, like, this because she finds her crying somewhere after the maid was, because Molly finds the maid murdered. I believe it's
Murdered.
Molly
Right.
who does it. She's screaming hysterically,
Mhm.
and they have to put her on all of these sedatives,
Mhm.
and then at one point, Molly apparently tries to commit suicide, so now she's on suicide watch, and
Mhm.
um, Miss Marple is volunteering to watch her, as well as Evelyn, as well as her husband, are like watching her constantly because of what she tried to commit suicide by taking all these pills, which apparently she
Mhm.
didn't take that many anyway.
Right.
Um, so it's like, what is going on here? And the entire
Mhm.
time, Miss Marple is kind of like trying to figure out she's still trying to remember what someone said. She doesn't even know who said it, but she knows
Mhm.
someone at some point says something to her that's important, that once she remembers it will unlock the mysteries to
Oh
it
my
all.
gosh, it's me. It's
Like,
me. It's every
she's like,
person with long COVID.
who said
Right.
what when
Right.
and under what context? Which
Right.
is when we come into the Senora de Caspiero, who's
Okay.
the a South American woman on holiday, who's
Okay.
just
I don't
her
even
enti
remember her. I've
well,
already glossed over her. Where was
she's the
she?
key. She's the key that unlocks this whole thing. She's
Oh,
there
right,
with
right,
a
right, right.
whole bunch of men
Okay.
just out sunbathing.
Right, that's okay.
Every time Miss Marple encounters her, she's laying around with men who are each speaking a different language, and Miss
Right.
Marple
Okay.
will always say to her, like, because she's clearly South American, and she'll have
Mhm.
an Italian man speaking like, they're speaking some other languages. She'll say, "Do you know what they're saying?" And she's like, "No, but love is love in every language. So they're loving on me. So what do I care what they're saying? I don't really need to know what they're saying."
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and then it's shortly after that when I know I'm skipping over probably a lot of key scenes,
Yeah,
but
that's
then
okay.
there's a third murder, which is the one
Yeah.
when Miss Marple finally
Mhm.
realizes
Mhm.
what's happening, and
Yeah.
everything unlocks, and she remembers what she heard, and she
Mhm.
remembers who said it. But Tim Kendall is going around looking for his wife. He's got someone else helping him look for his wife. It wakes up Miss Marple, and she's like, "What's going on?" And they're saying Molly is missing. So they get down to, like, the river or something, and in the water drowned is Molly, but her hair is, like, covering her face.
Right.
Miss Marple says, "Don't touch her, don't move her, leave her right there."
Right.
Um,
While the
she's
police.
already dead. It's
Yep.
fine. So now he's going back to the house to call the police and the
Mhm.
authorities, all the people that need to be called. And that's when the sun, it's at night. The moon shows itself and shines down on the body, and that's when Miss Marple looks and she's like, "Wait, something's not right." And she goes to move the hair, and they see it's not Molly, it's actually
Right.
Lucky,
Lucky. Right.
um,
Yeah.
wearing a shawl that
Mm.
belonged to Molly,
Yeah.
which
And
is
I like this, like, this is a common device that Chris
right,
uses, like the mistaken identity thing,
right.
and I don't know what it is about that I love. I just love that. I just
Yeah,
love that it's like, "Okay, you did kill that person, but guess what? Not the
right.
right one.
And
You didn't get the
sometimes it's
right
in the
victim."
beginning of the
Yeah.
story where the detective now has to figure out that who was
Right.
that the intended victim or was it the person
Right.
that they looked like at the time when they were murdered who was the intended victim. I feel like
Right.
that's used a lot. I'm thinking of like
Yeah.
several like
Yeah.
Father
She uses it.
Brown and
I
other
can think of
mysteries
a
where they do
dozen.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I can think
With
of a
that
dozen off the top of my head where she
yeah,
uses the
Columbo,
detail.
like so
Yep.
many that they do that very same thing.
Yeah.
And so it's at that moment that Miss Marple goes and wakes up Raphael and says, "I know what's happening. I know who's about to be killed right now. You need to wake up Jackson and you need to tell him to listen to me and do exactly as I say," which he
Right.
does. And she takes him and she says, "I'm going to wake up Esther on the way out and tell her to bring you to the Kendall bungalow."
Mhm.
I love the bungalows
Me
and
too.
the way the woman who I listened to the audiobook, the way she says bungalow. Like, okay, let's go to the bungalow. Uh,
Did I miss out not listening to this other
I
version?
think
Maybe
you
I
did.
should
You
listen to
need
this
to
other
listen
one.
to it just because all the
Right.
accents are very distinct and just very
Mhm.
interesting. And so she goes with Jackson to the bungalow where um, Tim is there frantic. He was just told that it wasn't his wife who was murdered. It was actually Lucky. So now he's thinking to himself, where is Molly? Because
Right.
she's not the one who was dead. Molly waltzes in and he's like, "Oh, are you okay? Here, drink this to calm your nerves." And he's getting
Mhm.
water for her to drink. And
Right.
Miss Marple comes in and she says, "Jackson, take that. Don't
Mhm.
let him spill it or whatever. Take it from him, restrain him."
Mhm.
And Mr. Raphael comes in and he says, "What the hell's going on?" And she says, "If we get that water tested, we will find out that there is some serious poison in it. He's
Right.
trying to kill his wife."
Mhm. Right.
And that's when we're like, "Okay, how did we come to this conclusion?" And as
Right.
usual, what happens in a Miss Marple mystery is
Mhm.
because there's very rarely an actual it's not like Poirot where when he's solving a case, there
Right.
is an inspector or something
Yeah.
alongside him so
Yeah.
that he's able to have the situation where he calls all the suspects to a room
Right.
and the
Right.
inspector is there with the police and they're
Like
waiting for
like
him
murder
to
like
right,
murder
and
she
they're waiting for him to do the reveal and then they arrest the person.
Right.
With Miss Marple, we get to the point where she says, "And he's the killer," and then the next chapter is kind of like several hours, several days, it's
Mhm.
later, and
Right.
she's rehashing it for a person to explain how she came up with who the killer was,
Right. Right.
ultimately. Um, you know what I totally glossed over
Mhm.
because I forget. Esther Walters, which is his secretary or whatever,
Yeah,
um,
Raphael's.
who's
Yeah.
apparently getting no
Secret.
money, which Miss Marple says to him, "You need to tell the truth now," which is that in fact he did put her in his will. He put her in his will for I think it was like £50,000,
Yeah.
and the way that she found out is because at one point she sees that Jackson likes to snoop and Jackson was snooping in his thing. So while he wasn't necessarily snooping to find money, what he did find was Raphael's will, which said all this. He happens to have
Mhm.
been friends with Tim Kendall. So he, during a drunken night of hanging out with Tim, told him like he's going to try to gussy up to Esther, Jackson
Mhm.
is, because if he marries her, he knows he's gonna be marrying into money because he knows something she don't, which is that
Right.
when this
Right.
old man kicks the bucket, she's gonna have
Yeah.
money. Not
Yeah.
realizing that Tim Kendall is a
Mhm.
serial killer of
Right.
affluent women, so he ends up gussying up to her. And that's only because of what's interesting to me, status, which is
Mhm.
what Mr. Raphael says, that the reason why she never even looked at Jackson and the reason why he didn't want Jackson to have all this money is because he was so beneath her in status in terms of how much money she was
Right.
making and education, all of these things. So he never stood a chance. Whereas, unfortunately, she fell for someone like Tin Kendall, and at the end, I think she's like screaming, like, "No, don't take my man. I love him so much." And that's when Tim's
Right.
like, "Shut up, you stupid bitch!" Like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I was
like,
and you know what? I'd forgotten that, that Agatha Christie had used the word bitch as in
yeah,
the end, and I was like,
she
"What?
did.
What?" Like,
I was
I
like, "Ooh."
yeah,
That's some fighting
I'm like, "She
words
means
right
business."
there.
Yep,
He's like,
yep,
"What's wrong with you? Stop talking." I'm like,
yep.
"Oh, let me drink my tea."
I know. They're all
What
about to throw
but
down. This
what
is getting
what
crazy.
okay, and the part that kills me, which I'll get to
Yeah.
at the end, but she's now explaining to Raphael all that
Mhm.
she knows. And the key
Yeah.
here, like I said, was the Senora de Caspiero.
Mhm.
At one point, many days prior, she's talking because Miss Marple went to everyone
Yeah.
and to try to figure out if because she knows that Major Palgrave repeats his stories that he tells. So
Right.
she knows the story of the murderer must have been repeated to someone else
Somebody else,
who
yeah.
might have remembered what he said just before that, or
Right.
even or may have gotten further than he got to have
Mhm.
either seen the photograph or something. So
Right.
she goes to each person and
Mhm.
casually brings up
Mhm.
Major Palgrave and, "Oh, do you remember that story that he told about so
Mhm.
and so?" So she now goes back in her Rolodex and is like,
Mhm.
"Wait, at one point I did go to
Mhm.
Senora, and she describes him as the man with the evil
Mhm.
eye."
Mhm.
And she doesn't realize what she means by that
Right.
until the very end, which is that, and I would have to go back, but I really don't want to, and I'm not gonna. But
No, it's okay.
apparently
It's okay. Go ahead. Right.
at some point we are told
Mhm.
that Major Palgrave has
Mhm.
a glass eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when he's stunned
Mhm.
because he's taking out the picture that he just saw and he looks
Mhm.
up, she
Mhm.
assumes that he's looking at someone over her right shoulder
Right.
when in fact his left eye, which is her right
Mhm.
shoulder, is his glass eye.
Yeah.
And his other eye was actually looking over her left shoulder,
Right.
and sitting there was Tim and Molly Kendall doing the books.
Right. Right.
And that's who he saw.
And
And
that's who we
that's who saw him
yeah.
and realized that he was recognizing something and
Mhm.
something was weird about
Mhm.
that. And that's why he ended up getting murdered.
Yeah.
Um, and the
Yeah.
same thing for Victoria because she saw
Mhm.
Tim take the bottle from the one room and put it in his room and Major
Yeah.
Palgrave's room, and she went to him to try to blackmail him. I think she did actually try to blackmail him, and he ended up having
Mhm.
to kill her. And he thought he was killing his wife, or he thought he was, because he wanted her first to have committed suicide that didn't work.
Right.
And his plan was she would commit suicide, it wouldn't work,
And
and then
then
he was
she
gonna
would
concoct some
yeah.
whole thing where he was gonna get
Yeah.
her to meet him by the river, and then
Yeah.
he was gonna kill her there and make it look like she actually went through with her desire to commit suicide.
Mhm.
When in fact, when he did that, he didn't realize he was killing essentially the wrong person. He
Right.
killed Lucky
Right.
and he didn't. So then he had to pivot when he realized that it wasn't his wife. So when she walked in, he was like, "Well, I'm
Mhm.
gonna have to poison her." And
Mhm.
his according to her, his new plan was I would have her drink this poison, and then I could say she did that out of a fit of madness when she realized that she killed Lucky
Right. Right.
for who knows what reasons.
Yeah. So you know what? And so right there, let me comment. There are a couple of reasons why this book is better than some of her other books. And or that I just prefer this book to many of her other books is I feel like okay, so those of you who've been reading along with us since January, I mentioned this quote by P.D. James when we were reading the Miss Marple mystery, The Body in the Library, And PD James is another like fantastic legendary mystery writer said, like there's always this Agatha land, this Agatha Christie land where we're supposed to like suspend belief and like go into suspend disbelief, sorry, suspend disbelief and go into this and think, oh, okay, well, no, the coroner didn't realize that she wasn't a blind, or oh no, like like all of that kind of thing, so that you just ride along with Agatha when she's writing a book like this, and you don't, you just go along with it. But see, in this book, right, some very, very obvious questions she addresses early, which is she wait, it's what? Which is she and Raphael, Mr. Raphael are talking, and Raphael is like, well, look, if he's been here for over a week or 2 weeks, I don't remember what it was. If he's been here for over 2 weeks, he's carrying these photos in his pocket, his
Right.
jacket pocket. And then he knows, like, he would have looked at it before then, especially if he'd been going around telling everyone at the resort, "Oh, do you want to see a murderer?" And he keeps repeating the same stories over and over and over again and bragging about,
Hmm.
his conquest and all this stuff, right? So wouldn't someone else already know it? Wouldn't he have already recognized this person, like, who's staying there? But actually, Miss Marple had a good point, which is, well, he has it's a thick collection of photos,
Right.
right?
Right.
And maybe he had seen that person, like glimpsed that person, but one, he wasn't the person who took the photo, right? He got the photo from someone else.
Right.
So he's not he doesn't have it firsthand. He didn't know or meet the person
Hmm.
that the photo is of, right? So there's that. It's a little blurry, and she just thinks that he's never really looked that closely at it because he never imagined that he would ever run into
Hmm.
a murderer. He
Right.
just never
And the
imagined.
part
Yeah.
that when you think back on the story, you realize how this was actually unfolding because Esther Walters also plays a big role in this, aside from the fact that she was his secret lover, is she
Mhm.
plants the idea in Miss Marple's head that it's a woman in the photo. Because if you remember, she's
Oh,
asking
right,
everyone, did
right,
he talk to you? Did he talk to you? And she
right.
said, oh yes, he talked to me about a murderer, but I really wasn't listening. It was about some woman. And Miss Marple's like, wait, wait, wait. The photo was of a woman? Like she's really
Right.
like, oh my God, I never even considered that it would have been a
Mhm,
woman. Not
mhm.
realizing that she was intentionally leading her down a different path
I forgot that part. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that
That's a good point.
which is what kills me at the very end. And you say we do have to suspend disbelief because what I
Right,
cannot believe
right.
is at the very end when
Okay.
everyone's saying their goodbyes and
Right.
everyone's leaving the island to go on their separate ways and Miss Marple is there about to board the plane to go back to St. Mary Mead. She's saying goodbye to Raphael. And
Mhm,
who's with him?
mhm.
Jackson and Esther Walters. And I'm sorry, but what is Esther Walters doing
I
there?
know.
She
I
first of
know.
all, she should not be there. And then what kills me is she says goodbye to this person, to that person, and when she gets to Esther, Esther turns her
Yeah, and
head
looks
and just
away.
walks away.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, "You know this man was a serial
Right,
killer of women with money,
right,
and you're mad that Miss Marple caught
right.
him and got him arrested and
Like,
literally saved
right.
your life
And
because you
saved
would
your
have been
life.
next.
Right, right.
After Molly, it was gonna be you.
Yeah,
But sure, you be mad. You be
yeah.
mad." Okay.
You were next, girl. You were next.
But
You were
I
next,
was
and you
like,
got
first
saved.
I couldn't believe I was like, "First,
Yep.
the police didn't consider you an accessory of some sort to
Right,
this
right.
man?"
How did she not get charged? I don't know. How? How?
And that he kept her employed.
Right,
Killed
right.
8 2.
Why would he keep her on? That's an excellent point. Why is she even still leaving with them? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Especially because I ended up down a rabbit hole, and I don't even remember where I saw this,
Yeah.
but there's either a full mystery or a short story, I
Mhm,
don't know which one, where Mr. Raphael calls Miss Marple to his house
mhm.
because he's dead. So he's dead, and now she has to go to his estate to figure out who killed him. And I can't
Oh,
wait. I gotta
I
read
don't know
that
if I
one.
remember this
I
one.
don't know where I was doing
Oh
some
my gosh,
research,
oh my
but
gosh, what
there's a
Yeah.
continuation.
Yeah, well, we gotta read
There's
that
like
one next.
there's
Yeah.
like 2 or 3
Yep.
different, um, times when Mr. Raphael and Miss Marple are together, and
Yeah.
the next one is where he calls her back to his estate, and when she gets there, he's dead. So she got a
Yeah.
letter from him saying, "I need your help quick." And by the time she gets there, it's too late. He's dead, but now she has to figure out who killed him. And I
Yeah.
swear, if Esther Walters is there, she's the killer.
Oh my god.
Okay? Mark my words.
She better be victim number 2. I
Bec-
honestly don't remember. I don't So let's read that one, and then let's have another conversation about that, because that will be completely fresh to me. Like, and I've read all the short stories, but I don't remember. I don't know, I just don't remember. So,
Let me see.
I don't
He's
know.
oh, okay, it makes sense.
Mhm.
Um Because they talk about Nemesis. She calls herself
Oh,
Nemesis
that's
in the
right.
book,
Oh,
and
is it
that's the
in
one.
the Yeah.
It's the book is called Nemesis,
Nemesis,
which is
that's right.
crazy because I'm almost positive no, I'm thinking of N, not M or N. I'm not thinking okay.
Yeah,
But yeah, Nemesis is the one where he appears in that
right.
one.
Okay.
Following his death, Mr. Raphael leaves a letter informing Miss Marple that she has inherited 20,000 pounds if she can solve a specific unnamed crime. He
Mm,
calls her his nemesis. Um, so that's the next novel. I don't
yeah.
think we will have the time
Oh, yeah,
to
we
read
don't.
this month
Because if it's yeah.
because
Well, I was thinking if it was a short
oh
story, but
right,
no.
it's not, it's a full
Yeah.
novel. Although I
Yeah,
will
no.
say I
Mhm.
had okay, so that's the story. I just want to kind of wrap that up in a bow because
Yeah,
now
yeah,
we
yeah.
need to kind
Yep.
of talk about the next book.
Mhm.
I'm really excited about.
Yeah,
It's The Labors of Hercules. So
right,
if you know the labors of Hercules, the Greek mythology, there's 12
right,
labors that he is forced to do by his father, by Zeus. And so what this is from Agatha Christie is 12 short stories where Poirot says he wants to solve he wants his final farewell into being an actual private detective before he retires. He wants to solve 12 unsolvable mysteries. He sets
right,
out, he's only going to say yes to the most unsolvable, crazy mysteries. And so these are the 12. And then after he solves his labors of Hercules, then he will retire. That's not
right,
the end of the quote unquote franchise because he takes on a lot of cases during his retirement when he's on
right,
vacation, et cetera, et
right,
cetera. But this marks the end of him being someone who's, like, on the payroll with the police type of
right.
situation where he's actually taking on cases.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
this
I
is when
will
he
say,
moves, right? He moves to the country because he wants to start
is
gardening or
this
something.
where he's doing his, oh, what are they called? Not his marrow. There's something he's specifically trying to
Yeah, he
grow.
plants his yeah,
It's something with an M, and he can never get it. And he's so mad that they're not
right,
growing.
right.
But I bought the book.
Mhm,
And I did not like the state in which it was delivered, so I had to return it, so I do
mhm.
not have it.
Yeah,
So
I
I
don't
have to actually scramble because
yeah,
I bought the exact one that I actually have on my page that I'm tracking this is the one that I bought, and, I'm gonna see if I can maybe get my wife to take me to Barnes& and Noble. And I saw it at Barnes& and Noble, and I was gonna pick it up, and I couldn't remember if I had it or not.
mhm,
But yeah, so I have to buy it because I don't have it, but it's 12 short stories. Um so it's basically a short story collection, but it's couched. It's more of a it's to me it's less of a collection because they really are strung together because the idea is they're specific to his journey towards retirement.
right,
Um
right,
so so each one has a distinct purpose, and every single one of them has been done by David Suchet.
right.
So I will enjoy getting to, and I
Yeah.
think these because they're
They're
short
at the
stories
top, right? Yeah,
that
some of the
they're
right.
not like the
Yeah,
90-minute
yeah,
David
90
Suchet
per
movie
episode. Yeah,
lengths. These should be, if I'm not mistaken, more like 40 to 50 minutes for
right,
each
right.
one, which is much easier to get through. So I might try to read the short story, watch the
Mhm.
episode, read the short
Yeah.
story, watch the episode instead of what I would typically do is read the whole book and then watch the adaptations.
Yeah.
Because of it being 12 short stories, I think it's gonna be easier if I just read and then watch the episode for each short story.
Yeah.
And
I
I
like
think
that.
I'll enjoy this.
Yeah, I like that idea. I
Mhm.
think that'll be fun. I'm trying to remember if Triangle of Rhodes is in there. I don't think it is. Um, but
Yeah,
I don't.
I had written down somewhere what all 12 stories are. I have to
Mhm.
find it when I do my official post. That's probably going to go up later today or tomorrow. I'm going to put up an official, like the official post to say what my reading schedule will look like. So I'll have every single episode in there and how I am going to break this down. But this was a definitely an interesting read because I expect to love every Agatha Christie. So when I
Yeah,
don't take to one, I'm like,
yeah,
oh. It's really gotta be missing on certain level for me to not take to it,
yeah.
but
I get it.
I'm not a Miss Marple fan in the same way that I am a Hercule Poirot fan,
Right,
so
I get it.
which is why I
Yeah,
wanted to do this because I knew it would get
yeah.
me to read stories that I wouldn't normally
Yeah,
on my
yeah.
own.
Well, and it's
So,
fun to discuss it with someone who, like, maybe who hasn't read it before and is reading for the first time, or someone who read it a long time ago and you're revisiting it. And then just,
mhm,
I don't know, little things that you notice that you never noticed the first time you read it, or especially when you're discussing an adaptation, because to me, the most recent adaptation is by far the best adaptation of
okay.
a Caribbean mystery. So if you're going to
Even
watch
better
one,
than Joan Hickson?
yep, it's better than that.
Okay.
Like if I could pick up Joan Hickson and take her and put her performance into the most recent adaptation, that would be ideal.
You
Um,
know, it's unfortunate. I don't know why this happened, that they didn't treat Miss Marple in the same way they treated Poirot in that
in
and
those
it's
early
probably
times,
because of
yeah,
age.
yeah, you're
And
right.
but Mackenzie is, I think,
Hmm.
young enough to
Right.
do all of them because that's the unfortunate thing. It's like
Hmm.
there's there's 4 or 5 or 6
Hmm.
different Miss Marples I can think of off the top of my head who have
Yeah.
played her on TV.
Right.
And so it's like I just love the actress Geraldine McEwen, and
Hmm. She's very good.
if I had
Yeah.
seen that she had done this, I probably
Hmm.
would have watched it immediately, even
Yeah.
if I didn't like the book, just because I love that actress.
Hmm.
But, you know, Joan Hickson is too quiet for me,
Yeah.
and it's just she really does embody Miss Marple in the way that
Yeah.
I see her, although
Hmm.
she seems a bit more not that Miss Marple isn't intelligent, but I feel
Hmm.
like Miss Marple in the book doesn't read as self-confident, self-aware
Mhm.
enough
Oh, it's
in her
interesting.
abilities
Yeah.
than when I see her portrayed by, like, a Joan
Mhm.
Hickson who sort of takes on the attitude of, "Yes, I know I'm brilliant."
Right,
She's
right.
almost like a Poirot on
Yeah,
TV, but
yeah.
in the books, she's like, "I don't know if I trust my brain on this one. I
Mhm.
don't know if I might have misheard. I might have misinterpreted. I might have this, I might have that." And it's like, "Girl, when are you gonna just say, "Yeah, I'm that girl. I am smart. I know what's happening here." You know what I
Right,
mean? Like,
right.
and she's
Yeah,
probably Miss Agatha Christie probably did that intentionally because
yeah, she
that's
did.
the
Yeah,
very attitude and persona that she gave to Poirot, which is,
yeah.
"I'm the best in the world and I'm always right."
Mhm,
But to me, she did the extreme opposite with Miss
mhm,
Marple from him, where she didn't do any middle person. Like, I want to
mhm,
meet her character that's kind of in the middle, where it's like
mhm,
I don't doubt myself, but I don't think I'm
mhm.
the smartest person in the room either.
So I think that she does come across more, and more confident and more, like, "Okay, I've got this." Sharp, I would say, like, sharp and, like, knows that she's sharp in some of the other books. I
Okay.
actually had that was another part of this book that I'd forgotten is that but I kinda took that lack of confidence in who the killer was or in the clues to be more like she realized she was being manipulated, and that someone was giving her the wrong information, and then
Intentionally.
that's also
Because
a way
that's
to
when yeah,
confuse
because
the
at one
reader.
point, I
Yeah.
remember her saying when she finishes talk, because there's a gossip, and the gossip happens
Mhm.
to be the sister of the
Yeah.
priest, right? And the priest is always like can you stop? Like, can you stop talking about these people that way? So Miss Marple and the sister kind of look at each other like, we'll talk when he's not around.
Right.
And then they do, and she dishes the dirt on like the Hillingdons and the all of these people, right? She dishes all of these things, and as Miss Marple is leaving, she thinks in her head like, how do I know that you are who you say you are? Like, just
Right.
because you say that you're a priest,
Right. That doesn't
that's
mean
just
you are.
because you said
Right.
it. That
Right.
doesn't mean you do we know? Like,
Yeah.
have we
Yeah.
seen him with a collar? Like,
Hmm.
actually do like and she's really starting to second guess everything. She's like, "How do I know Mr. Raphael is who he says he is?
Right.
And is
Yeah.
this rich man?" The same way none of us know if Major Palgrave's stories or if any of them are real. Did
Real.
he
Yeah.
is this story real? Is this photograph real? Like, what
Hmm.
is real and what isn't?
Hmm.
And so it's just like and the other thing I also wonder is it because she's out of her element? She's in a
Hmm.
different
Right.
country.
She is. Right.
And she doesn't spend much time at all. And she says that at one point that she wishes she could compare
Hmm. Yeah.
apples
She
to
can.
apples, that
Yeah.
she could find someone
Yeah.
at St. Mary Mead that
And
she
say
could, because she
Mary.
always says that,
Yeah.
but she
She
says that
does.
she can't because she doesn't know the truth of who anyone is. So
Yeah.
if you don't know the truth of who anyone is, you don't have
Right.
anyone to base it off of
Hmm.
back at home. I could
Hmm.
easily say that this is like so and so who's always philandering with women, but is that true? Are they
Hmm.
really in love or are they really not in love? Is it, like, because I don't know, I don't have a frame
Hmm.
of reference back home, so I'm
Yeah.
very lost. So okay, I'm
Yeah.
coming around to kind of, but
But see.
even saying
Yeah.
that, I
Hmm.
still feel this thing was too long because there was too many moments of her
Okay.
saying that,
Hmm.
of her like being lost with
Hmm.
on on a boat with no paddles. It's like
Yeah. I
we
get it.
could have cut down 10 chapters here and still had a feasible book and story to tell. So,
Yeah, maybe. This book is actually a really good example of an earlier edition that I published where I'm talking about how we're entering into the second golden age of crime fiction, specifically murder mysteries, right? Like a classic murder mystery is what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
yeah, like a fair play murder mystery where everyone's gathered at the end. The murder is solved. There's resolution, and
I was just looking at Kristen Perrin, and she just came out with a new book,
mhm,
where it's like a locked they do so many locked
mhm,
room mysteries now, where I'm just going down this rabbit hole of cozy mysteries of like, "Oh my god, I need to
mhm,
stop because I'm
mhm.
gonna start I'm trying to stick to what I'm reading, but then I get sidetracked."
Yeah, yeah. But my point about her like being misled and who's telling her the truth and that kind of thing is right now there's this craving that society has. I mean, not just American society, but all of society for truth and honesty and finding out that truth, like finding that truth, getting to that truth. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm going to get dorky right now, but the truth is out there, right? I wrote a post about this. I'm like, the X Files has never been more relevant. That particular pop culture like franchise has never been more relevant than it is right now, which I'm getting super sidetracked, but I'm just trying to connect the dots here for anyone listening about truth, honesty, and then finding that in a novel, finding that in a mystery novel, and being able to connect with that in a way where you get that resolution.
Right.
In real life, you might not get that resolution, but you can read something, love it and enjoy it, and you can find that peace, that like justice. You can see
Which is
someone get justice.
probably why when something like this happens and
Yeah,
Esther Walters walks, it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, I got a resolution in that you found the killer of these three people, but
right. But
there
how
were
are you
other people
standing here?
involved here.
Right. Why
Like,
are you here, girl?
we can't just forget the fact
Right,
that she was
right,
his
right.
lover and that
Yeah,
she intentionally tried to sway
yeah,
Miss Marple into thinking it was a woman, not a man
yeah. I
in
mean,
the
she's an
photograph.
accomplice, basically. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're
Correct.
right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and speaking of, I don't know if you read Anthony Horowitz, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
just
I
got
don't
his
have
new
it
book. I'm
yet.
so excited.
Yeah, I don't have it
Um,
yet. I'm very excited.
I
That's gonna
have
be a great
not
one.
read his Magpie Murder Mysteries,
Yeah.
but
They're good. They're
I
really good.
love the other
I
one where
Yeah.
he's in it because I like that he
Yeah,
wants
yeah.
to be like like
Those are good.
Sherlock Holmes and Watson,
Yeah, those are good
so
too.
he's actually in it
Mhm.
helping a private detective.
Yeah.
Um, and what tricked me with this, I don't know why
Mhm.
I'm bringing this up, but it was so funny. When I saw the ad for this, it's called A Deadly Episode. And so
Mhm.
when I saw it, I didn't realize they were advertising that it was a new book. I thought it was telling me that there was an actual TV show
Oh,
for the series. And
called a deli, yeah.
I was like, "Oh my God," I was freaking out because even when you read the description,
Yeah.
it reads like that, where it's like Anthony Horowitz wrote a script and so is in it. And then not until it says, and the person who plays the private detective gets murdered. I was like, wait a minute.
Right? And then you're like, "Oh, hold on."
Like the actor like,
Right.
wait, what are you telling me? And then I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, this is a book.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back now. I'm back now.
That's
Because I was
really
like,
funny. Yeah.
why would you try to promote a TV show off the back of the fact that the actor was
Yeah,
killed?
that makes
Like,
sense.
that just seems
Yeah.
so horrible, and it's like, "Oh, okay, it's not actually that." And actually, they're coming out with these special editions, so
Oh,
Continental
yeah.
Christie, the
Mhm.
other 2 are coming today. When I get off this call, I'm gonna go to the mailbox where the other 2
Okay.
are gonna be. So I got, Capital Christie and
Mhm.
I forget what the other one is, but they're taking all my money. They're reprinting they're reprinting
Yeah,
collections of her short stories,
yeah.
but they're also
Hey,
reprinting
that's
her
a
actual
beautiful color.
novels.
That's a beautiful cover. That's really
And
pretty.
it's hardcover,
I
and
like
they're
the font.
reprinting all of
Yeah.
her novels. I'm not going to get them. I'm
Sure.
going
Sure
I'm
you're
going
not.
on
Just like you're not
record.
gonna buy those tarot
Well,
cards.
what makes it difficult is they're
Right.
only in the UK, so I have to order
Yeah.
them from Blackwell's,
Yeah.
um, because
Yeah.
they do free shipping to the United States,
Yeah, thank you for
but
introducing me to them. I never ordered
yeah,
anything from them before, and then I'm like,
they
"Oh my
take a
gosh."
while. They do
Yeah.
take a while to get to you, like 2 it could take up to 2 weeks to
Yeah, that's
arrive,
okay.
but
Yeah.
Book Depository not existing anymore is really tragic, so, I unfortunately, I like different covers from different countries, so I will
Yeah.
tend to look at US, UK, and then sometimes Australia has a couple of
Mhm.
good ones, but they're harder to come by, so I try not to
Yeah.
look at Australian editions because 'cause I'm like, "I'll never get an Australian
Yeah.
edition shipped here." The cost to ship it will be 3 times the cost of the book to get a book from
Right.
Australia to here,
Especially
so
now. Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but, okay, so the Labors of Hercules for next month for anyone who wants to join us.
Yeah.
Um,
We'd love to have you join us.
to and then we're gonna kick off the summer with, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, so I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Those are
good.
the next 2 books are gonna be all Poirot, basically.
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
months.
And you guys, like, if you love mysteries and you love fiction and you're here on Substack or not, and you haven't downloaded the app yet, I encourage you to download the app. But check out Erica's Top in Fiction and check out Erica's Ink After Dark, where she delves into the murder mystery shows that we watch and read together, and a ton of other stuff. And come subscribe to Only Murders in the Inbox, where we talk about mysteries in culture, in pop culture, in entertainment, in yeah, books, TV, film,
Yep, and we will
or
be
yeah,
back sometime the end of May.
yeah, we'll be back.
Yep,
Yay!
to
Thanks for joining, guys.
discuss all 12 labors. It might be a laborious
Yeah.
conversation.
It's gonna be
Okay.
fresh to me because 'cause I've
Yeah.
forgotten so much. So there
Yep.
you go.
Okay.
All right. All right, take care, Erica. Thanks for doing this
You
with
too.
me.
All
Okay,
right.
bye.
Bye.